So yes, guys, this is for your consent that I've started recording of this particular session. So guys, let me set the context for you that what we are going to discuss within this particular batch, what we are going to discuss, what we will cover and all. So that kind of things we are going to discuss here. Guys, please do let me know once you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir. Yours.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Great. Good to know. So guys, when we are going to talk about this particular session, like what we will cover and what we will discuss. So the particular agenda here is to be DevOps. Let me define here. And guys, please mute yourself if you are not speaking. That will really help. Thank you. Okay, so right now, guys, we are talking about DevOps. Is there anyone who can help me? What is DevOps? Yes, guys, what is DevOps?
Development plus operation.
Okay, and why do we need only single person doing development and operation?
To integrate both the teams.
But when we have a single person as dev plus operation, so why do we need two different teams? Guys, let us have a little discussion on this particular word first before I go and start explaining all these things. Just want to know your inputs. Yes, guys.
Yeah, DevOps team is a bridge between development team and operations team. So this DevOps engineer can handle both teams.
Okay. So Kumar, let me ask you one more thing. What is the use of this bridge? Like at what particular point in time this bridge is being used?
Yeah, for CI/CD things like you want to make.
Okay, can you tell me? Can you explain like any real world scenario where this bridge is required?
Yeah, for example, the development team develops a code in the dev environment. In the operations team, they want to deploy in any production servers. If there is any mishap occurs, like the development team developed in one environment with lower versions, in the operations production servers have higher versions. So there may be a mishap occurs. So their DevOps engineer will come into picture and yeah, he will involve in all the meetings for development team and operations team, so that he will have overall idea. So he's a contact person for both teams.
Okay, great. Any other one who has some different view about it? Anyone? Grace, any idea about it?
No idea, sir.
Okay, Govind Raj.
Not much, sir.
What's the question? I just joined in.
Okay, so the question here is why DevOps is required and what is DevOps?
DevOps is a set practice that combines software development and IT operations. Its aim is to shorten the system development lifecycle and provide continuous delivery and high software quality. DevOps is also characterized by operation staff and developer participating together in an entire service lifecycle for designing through development process and production support.
Okay, very good and interesting as well. So let me give you a real world scenario where DevOps is required. So let us say there is a particular program, or let us say a particular service which is developed by some developer, right? Now the developer has handed over the source code to operation guys that take this particular code. These are a couple of commands which you can execute. You will have a jar file at this location. This jar file is supposed to run in this particular manner. the particular person who is known as operation team, or you can call that tech ops or maybe SRE, site reliability engineering team, the team tried to execute commands, but they did not get successful result. The build is not getting success, that is failing on production environment. Now they will write an email back to developer that these particular commands are not working. Reason being, build is not successful. Developer will execute the same command within lower environment. Obviously, we are going to discuss about what are these lower environments, why do we have these, what are the consequences of it, what is the purpose of having these kind of environment. We are going to discuss that, do not worry. So the particular developer will run the commands in lower environment and then share the result with the operation team, stating that it is working in my environment. You need to check what is missing or what is different at your level, right? So this kind of email keeps on exchanging between developers and operation team. Now, who is actually responsible to fulfill this gap? Developer is saying that my code is working perfectly fine in my environment where I developed it. Secondly, the particular operation team is saying that when we got this particular code, that was not working. So in order to mitigate these kind of like gaps, we need such a particular person, or you can call that a team, who has information or the particular knowledge about development as well as operation team. So that is why there is a particular team which is known as DevOps. So this is a combination of developer plus operation guys. Now, when we talk about DevOps, so when an organization is formed, let us say when an organization is formed, let us say there is going to be a new company, very new company we are going to talk about. This is being started. There is just business idea we are going to talk about. Let us say we want to sell something online. For example, like we want to start a company like Flipkart, like Amazon. Obviously, when these companies were started, these were not that much huge as these are as of today, right? So let us say we have a company known as burger.com. There is a company like burger.com, right? This is our domain. Now, when we start this organization, so what kind of other people will be involved within this? Any idea? Yes, guys. In order to make this particular idea, burger.com, obviously we are going to sell burger, different type of different price at different level, different like geographical area. We are going to create our brand name first. Only then customers would come up. So I want to build this organization from scratch. So what kind of team and what kind of people support will be required?
You need a developer, a tech ops, an infrastructure engineer, and also an SRE.
Okay.
Yes.
Just give me a moment. Hello? Yes, guys. So the very first thing which we need to understand here is that what kind of teams are required. So first of all, there will be a team known as, let me draw some other kind of, these are going to be separate teams here. Like how a company is built. So first of all, there will be a team known as product team. Or you can call this team as business team as well. Because these are the particular group of people who develops new ideas. Either we call them product or business team. Because first of all, these are the guys who are the founder of this organization. Why I am telling you, see, although we are supposed to discuss DevOps only, but we need to have a very clear picture like how is an organization driven, right? So first of all, we have a product or business, they have some idea. Now the very second team which will be required in order to generate this idea into reality, right? There will be a team which is known as dev. Obviously, guys, I'm not talking about that we will need some cook, we will need some chef, or maybe the particular staff who are going to import the particular components which are being used to like make our product, right? I'm just talking about that how this particular journey go in order to sell this particular product online, right, guys? So we will have another like group of people which are known as developer. Whatever business ideas these guys have, they will convert that idea into an application or into a website. Okay, so is that website developed in a proper manner or not? So let us say whenever we are trying to sell something online, so there will be a particular option known as payment. People will be allowed to make payment online manner as well, using UPI, using NEFT, maybe using some any additional component. They will be allowed to make payment. So what if there is a particular bug or there is a particular flow using which some hackers might able to generate or maybe able to create fake orders, like they are booking the particular order, they are booking the particular product, but they are actually not paying. So obviously this will bring some kind of like loss to this particular organization. So there will be another set of people who are known as QA, or you can call that quality assurance engineer, or you can call that test team, QA or tester. Now, see guys, how this particular flow is going to work. First of all, product team will share their idea. Now there will be a particular brainstorming. Okay, let us say developers will say that either we can develop this website on WordPress, or we want to develop it on PHP, Magento, or maybe any other platform. Then after, maybe the developer can say, okay, we are going to use Python in order to develop this particular website. So any kind of programming language using which they can develop a web interface, developers will decide with product team, okay, we will need these many servers, these many components we are going to need in order to develop this kind of application. For example, what kind of gateways we are going to integrate, business team will let them know that we have already had a discussion with XYZ payment gateway interface, and we will integrate in order to enable our customer to do payment for purchasing our product, right? So that kind of discussion will happen. So these developers are going to ensure that what technology is going to be fruitful for them in order to make this successful. So then after, QA is going to ensure that there should be no flow, no bug should be there before making that website live. So this is going to be QA team. Now there will be a particular team which is supposed to be there in order to check security of the particular component. So security, for example, the particular libraries which a developer, for example, we are talking about Java. So Java is one of the most like used programming language across the world as of today, right? So security team will check. Let us say developer has opted Java language in order to do development. So QA engineer will check the flow in negative and positive manner, all the like happy test cases, moreover, all the edge use cases. For example, we are running a commercial platform. A person is able to make payment even when the person does not have sufficient amount in his or her bank account. So there has to be a check placed in order to make payment, that if a person who is trying to make payment should have positive balance in the account, only then this should go. So for example, if developer forgot to place that kind of check during development, so QA engineer is going to be responsible to find that bug and to let developer know that fix it, only then this will go to production environment. Okay, next is for security. Now what does that mean, security? So let us say the developer, what kind of software, what kind of libraries or the particular program developer has selected in order to do development, these have some security vulnerabilities. Now, guys, what are vulnerabilities? So vulnerabilities are a very non-flow or non-bugs in the particular base libraries itself. For example, we are like, if you guys are aware of some technology, so there's a particular word known as log4j. So log4j is a particular software being used to generate logs related to Java application, right? So for example, if there is a bug using which if a hacker is able to exploit means to explore that bug, so the hacker will be allowed to take administrator access into your operating system, right, guys? So in that particular case, what would happen? Just because of that single library being used for development in order to write the logs of your application into your server, then the server may get hacked. So in that particular place, security team or the guys who are looking for the security of the organization, so those guys will be responsible in order to ensure that there should be no bug which we are going to take to production. Okay, now this is about any library. So let us say developer has developed the application in such a way that is accessible over HTTP and HTTPS both protocol. So over here, guys, do you see this application apps.diagrams.net? Is this visible? The highlighted field?
Yes.
Okay, great. So there is a lock before it. If I open this particular, or let me highlight this particular, so there is a particular word written on as HTTPS. S for secure. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. S means secure. This works on port number 443. So let us say if you see somewhere that this log is not available, and if you try to explore this, like connection is secure. So if you try to open this particular, so you will get to know that there's a particular valid certificate available. Like when it is going to go expire, when it was renewed, where from like they have opted the certificate, right? All the details of certificate you can get to know. Like what are the particular like certificate hierarchy, like where from you have like created, like it is valid from, like when it was renewed last. So every kind of information you can get here. So security team is going to ensure that a particular website should be running only on HTTPS because this is a secure website. Second thing, when the particular certificate is added into this particular website, so security team is going to ensure that the particular encryption method, encryption means the particular program which is being used to encrypt data when it is traveling over internet, right? So our security team is going to ensure that all the encryption method being used in order to encrypt data while it is traveling like over the internet are appropriate, are up to date, are of those kind of which are considered to be secure over the internet. Like we should not be using any weak ciphers. So those algorithms are known as ciphers, 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 right? So those ciphers should be strong enough in order to be part of our SSL certificate. So guys, this is known as SSL, Secure Socket Layer certificate. This is known as, right? So when we are implementing a certificate, so security team, okay, QA will check whether application flow is working fine, no bug is there, but security team is going to ensure that whatever component we have added into this particular certificate, these are also up to date, there is no flow. Moreover, when we are asking our users, okay, let us say there is an end user. So when this user will connect to our burger.com website, so this user should be traveling or should be accessing our website onto some TLS version. Now, what is TLS? TLS means transport layer security. There are multiple versions of TLS available, like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So 1.1 is considered to be very weak, or the old style of accessing data over internet. So as of today, someone is going to ask you that what version of TLS we are using. So that is supposed to be 1.2. We will discuss about this in more detail. But for now, when we are talking about security, so like couple of things I'm just supposed to highlight before you, that these are the things which a security tester has to perform before giving sign off. Okay. So security team is supposed to be there. Then after security team, we will have another team, which is known as DevOps. Here is the particular picture where DevOps comes into place. So guys, do you have any questions so far? Like why we are discussing all these things?
Yeah, we should have some infra team right here to maintain servers.
So I'm coming on to that.
Perfect.
So there is a particular team which is known as DevOps. I am going to skip this for now because like this is the particular part which we are going to discuss in very detail, because like what is the particular role and responsibility, the particular component which are taken care by this particular team. So we will discuss this in detail. So obviously we are going to have another team here which is known as there is a particular team known as TechOps. Now, what is the difference between TechOps and DevOps? So guys, as developers work only on lower environment. And what are these lower environments? Let me just write this down. After that, we will discuss in detail. So first of all, it is known as dev environment. Then after it is known as test. Then it will be known as UAT. UAT stands for user acceptance test. Or guys, this test is also known as QA environment. So we can define this QA/test. Then it will be UAT, user acceptance test environment, where this product team will check the requirement. Okay, whatever was required developers to develop, that has been developed in a proper manner or not. QA will give sign off that yes, everything what was expected is working. There is no bug, there is no flaws. So it is fine to take it to production environment. Then there will be particular environment known as SIT. So guys, SIT is known as System Integration Test. What does that mean? So this particular team, DevOps, is the owner of this particular environment. What does that mean? That is owner of this environment. So before taking any release to production, DevOps team will ensure that the particular code which is going to be deployed here, this environment is supposed to be replica of production environment. The very next environment which is about to come is going to be prod and pre-prod environment. So this environment has to be replica of production environment only. Why is that? So let us say, just for example, I'm typing here, we are working with, let us say PHP 5.7. This PHP 5.7 version is used in SIT. But when we talk about production, so let us say PHP 7.2 is being used here. Getting the difference, guys? So the development is done on a lower version of software, and when it is supposed to run on production, so that is higher version of software. So this is the responsibility of DevOps team in order to ensure that same version of software is available across the environment. Right, guys? So these are the scenarios where a developer say that the code is working fine in my environment because that was developed on lower version, and because of some requirement or maybe some other stuff, production team has updated the particular version to latest version. So that is why whenever we are talking about these kind of stuff, so these responsibilities are supposed to be taken care by our DevOps team. Right, guys? So now we have SIT environment known as system integration test, that everything, whatever we are planning to take to production environment, that should work in proper manner here as well. Right, guys? Now the very next thing we are going to talk about pre-prod. Like pre-production. So this will be a particular part of production environment only, but only limited number of users from organization will have access to it. There will be a separate application created. There will be a separate URL created. There will be real transactions taking place. Getting point, guys? There will be separate application, separate URL, and separate users created in order to access this particular application. And if any transaction is made here, for example, you are trying to do some kind of enhancement into your website, and you want to test it on pre-prod. So this pre-prod will be as good as prod. If you are trying to do any testing, if you are trying to do any order, so that order will be real order. But before making those changes live to all users, you want to test it like how is the look and feel of this particular feature which we have made live to all end users. So you can deploy that onto some very specific and limited part of your production environment, and access is limited to only certain people who are part of your organization. Maybe those particular users can be part of your product or business team, right guys? So that is how it works. The final part here is that is known as prod. Let me define that here. So you can call that either prod or production. So guys, these are different environments, right? Now, a developer is supposed to work on dev environment. The developer is supposed to work on dev environment, right? QA is supposed to perform stuff on QA and test environment. Business is supposed to test on UAT environment. DevOps is supposed to perform their testing on SIT environment in order to ensure software compatibility across the environments. Pre-prod is being used by DevOps because DevOps will deploy the code here, and this business team will perform their activity here in order to say that yes, the things which were expected, which we have tested on this environment, are working as expected. Finally, the production environment. So the end users, this particular end user will access this environment because these are going to be a real customers. Now, once the code is live on the production, so this particular team known as TechOps will be taking care of all the issues which are going to be reported onto this environment. Let us say there is a particular issue. So Kumar is asking DR environment also there, right? So we will talk about Kumar about DR environment, but not right now because DR is created only then when we have full-fledged production environment running. And in order to ensure if this particular infra goes down, then how DR is invoked, we will discuss about that for sure within maybe tomorrow's session, or maybe if we get time today. So we will discuss it for sure today itself. So do not worry about DR, okay? So guys, when we are talking about TechOps, so guys, there is one more team known as SRE. So guys, SRE is a particular practice which was initiated or which was like introduced by Google, right? So SRE stands for Site Reliability Engineering. So guys, SRE and TechOps, these two teams, so either you can club those teams or you can make it, you can keep them separate. That is going to be like based on individual teams requirement. So I have been part of those organizations where DevOps, TechOps, and SRE, all the three roles were performed by same set of people. So DevOps team was responsible to do deployment. DevOps team was responsible to support production environment. If any issue is there in production, so to share the RC, everything was taken care by DevOps. But when we have a very huge environment, let us say we have thousands of servers to support, then we isolate the particular roles and responsibility of these people. So TechOps will be responsible to handle production environment. SRE team is also equal to TechOps, but SRE team takes some additional responsibility of automation into production environment. Let us say if there is a particular task which is repeated on daily basis multiple times. For example, we need to copy the logs from production server to such a server where developers also have access. So either we are getting multiple requests every day. So what we can do here is rather than copying those logs manually, we can set up some kind of automation script. That script will get executed every 15 minutes or maybe every 30 minutes, whatever frequency is required. So this SRE team can write a shell script or may write a particular program to copy logs from different server to such a centralized server where developers have access. Are we clear with that? So although TechOps is also not restricted to do automation, but majorly TechOps are supposed to provide support onto production environment in order to provide maximum uptime. So guys, any questions so far?
Yeah, have heard about this DevSecOps and platform ops. Is there?
So platform ops are known as tech ops, because right now we are talking about only production environment. So you can call that platform ops. And when we talk about DevSecOps, okay, so let me tell you that particular part as well. What is DevSecOps? So when we talk about DevSecOps, so the particular security practices which are supposed to be performed by a different set of people. So those particular should be part of DevOps pipeline. Now, I would not say that security team is going to be like is going to be out of the picture. No, security team will always remain there. But let us say when DevOps team is going to create a build, so they are supposed to create a particular build in such a manner that it should scan the code by some automated tool. Let us say you can talk about SonarQube, right? Moreover, if any library is found which is very well known and that is buggy, that contains some bug, so that should not make the build successful. Jenkins pipeline should break the build and should create a Jira ticket to developer in order to fix that. Moreover, not only some Nexus, maybe you can include any other tool as well. For example, you can talk about there's a tool known as Blackbuck. You can involve that particular tool that as soon as it will be deployed onto production environment, it is going to scan the particular live traffic for you in order to generate report. So that kind of tools you can involve here. Moreover, like there are n number of tools which can be part of this particular pipeline before before taking deployment to production, right? Okay, someone is asking what does DevOps team do in QA environment? Okay, so guys, DevOps team is going to be helpful in QA environment. Let us say they have to do the deployment manually onto QA environment. So they will write a particular pipeline using which QA will be able to deploy the particular code onto different environments in automatic manner. DevOps is not going to help QA in any manner apart from making environment stable and deployment in automatic manner. Let us say we have, okay, when we will discuss about Git going forward, so there we will discuss different branching strategy. So DevOps can help QA in such a manner. Let us say whenever developer is going to push a particular code to the QA branch, so Jenkins job will get triggered automatically and that will be deployed onto a specific server and a notification will be sent to tester that new code has been made available onto this particular server. Please test these kind of functionalities or whatever message we want to display to QA. So that kind of help DevOps can put on the table of testers. Okay, so guys, this is all about DevOps, TechOps and SRE. So guys, DevOps is not a tool or DevOps is not a kind of like team. DevOps is a group of different practices which are put together. So guys, let us say if we have DevOps in place like Dev plus operation we have. So this particular team will not be able to say this is a task of developer. For example, developer has done the development. TechOps team is ready to support in production. But whose responsibility is in order to push the code from source code repository to production environment? So guys, this is going to be DevOps team. Let us say during the particular build process, the particular build gets failed. That is not successful. So right now, DevOps will not be able to say this is a particular issue from developer, and the reason being because there is a particular word written known as dev here within the profile. So which means dev team is not supposed to do development, is not supposed to write code, is not supposed to fix if there is any bug or if any issue, if any vulnerability is there in the code. DevOps team is not supposed to fix that. But DevOps team is supposed to debug or is supposed to help developers identify, okay, this can be a particular area where issue may be there. So you can look into this. Moreover, let us say if operation team says that logs are not getting printed. Once we are running the application into production environment, so we are not able to see the logs. So DevOps team, because ops part is there, so this because of this operation part, DevOps team will help TechOps in order to ensure that logs are getting printed in proper manner. There could be a problem that the particular file where service is trying to write the logs is owned by some different user, or earlier maybe the particular service was running as root user, or right now when TechOps team is trying to start the service, so they might have unknowingly selected some different user in order to start the service, right? So that kind of things are there. So DevOps is responsible to provide helping hand to developers, to dev team, as well as to operation team. I hope we are clear so far, guys, or do you have any other question? Because going forward, we are going to discuss about a couple of other teams. Then after we will discuss about DevOps in detail. Any questions, guys? Guys, any question? No. Great. Okay, so guys, there are a couple of other teams as well, which are part of organization. Let us say it is going to be risk and audit. Risk and audit team is there. Like, let us say that SRE team is saying everything is working fine. TechOps team says that we are the best class in the world. DevOps team says that we are following all the best practices. So these guys are going to be responsible to check or to recheck the work of each and everyone. Product team says that whenever we are onboarding a new vendor onto platform, we do a proper sign off. We do a particular like exit and like onboarding pre-check, right? So this risk and audit team is going to be there. Moreover, there will be a particular additional team which is known as governance team is going to be there. Governance team is going to ensure that what kind of vendor can be onboarded, what kind of companies can be made partner, that kind of thing. So this particular is going to have control over all the stuff. Governance team is going to be responsible in order to like ensure that whatever kind of task we are performing, everything is documented. No one is bypassing the particular process. Governance team is going to be there. Now, two more teams are there when everything is set up. Obviously, like prior to all these, we may, or like whenever you want, you can add these two teams here, like sales and marketing. So guys, sales and marketing are two teams which plays very important role in order to make any organization successful, because until unless there will be marketing, and based on that marketing, sales is taking place. So obviously the rest of teams are not going to be useful. So guys, I hope that I make this particular picture clear, that how is an organization built and how does that operate. Are we clear? Naresh, Mallikarjun, Pranjali, Raju, Ramesh. SRE team is another name of your TechOps, including some, okay, Josh is asking, what does the SRE team do? So the answer here is that SRE team is just like your TechOps, but this team is going to own some additional responsibility. They can automate couple of other things. Unlike TechOps feels that this is not our job to automate things. So if they want, they can also automate. There is no restriction, but yes, based on the skill set, SRE engineers are hired. Okay, guys. So now let's talk about DevOps. So guys, when we talk about DevOps, what other roles are there? So guys, we need to understand this part as well. Whenever we are preparing for a particular job, we should be knowing in advance that what kind of job roles can be offered to us. So the very first one here is that is known as Linux admin. A person or an organization does not want to hire directly as DevOps engineer, because ideally DevOps engineers are a very vast role, because they are not in position to say no for anything. like the very first rule when you are planning to be part of DevOps team. So a particular team may hire you as Linux admin, and they would want you to work upon very limited set of tools. Let us say they would want you to work on Linux, they would want you to work on Jenkins, maybe Ansible, maybe they may want you to work on Git, which is known as source code management tool, SCM, or maybe version control system, you can call that. So as Linux admin, second thing, when you are going to work, they may ask you, they may want you to hire a server admin. If you are a beginner, then I'm talking about that this is a particular ladder which you may follow in order to become a DevOps. Obviously, couple of companies are there which are hiring a fresher as DevOps engineer directly, because they know that the skill set which a person has and the particular team which is currently working for them. So with the collaboration of both, a person may be converted as DevOps engineer. So DevOps engineer has to know a lot of tools. A DevOps engineer is not in position to say no. If there is any tool or technology being used in the organization, DevOps person has to support that. Okay, third is known as every single person who is going to work in the organization, guys, the person is supposed to know like network. So a person may want to hire you as network administrator, reason being whether you are working as DevOps, TechOps, SRE, developer, security. So guys, we all are supposed to know at least basics of the network. Right, guys? Then after, when you have gone through all this profile, so there is a particular profile which is available as of today, that is known as cloud admin or cloud engineer. Right, guys? Then after, next profile will be automation engineer. Next, there will be a profile which is known as TechOps L1 or 2 or 3 or 4. TechOps L1, L2, L3 and L4. These are the profile which may be offered to you. Then after, there will be a profile as DevOps. So guys, let us see like how does that work. If you have only knowledge of Linux, you will be offered a role of Linux administrator. For example, you know like Linux plus network, then you may be offered a role of server administrator. If you know cloud, and along with all these information which are displayed like on the top, like Linux, server, network, then you may be offered a particular role of cloud engineer or cloud administrator. When you know all these three, now a person, now an organization is looking for that all the tasks which is being performed by these administrators on daily basis, and obviously like these are going to be repetitive tasks. So we want to have a person who has understanding of all these things, like how do these things work, along with a particular programming language. It could be Python, it could be Ansible, it could be Terraform, it could be a CloudFormation template. So if a person is aware of that thing as well, then a person will be given a designation of automation engineer, right? Then after, in order to to take support on production environment, there will be a position known as tech ops engineer. Finally, when a particular person has understanding of each and everything, whatever is mentioned on the top, so that particular person will be given a position of DevOps. Any questions so far, guys? Guys, any questions so far?
No, sir, clear.
Okay, great. Now, in order to become DevOps, what kind of tools and technology you should be knowing about? The final thing which we are going to discuss today is that if you really want to become a DevOps, what kind of tools and technology you should be knowing about? Okay, so guys, the very first thing which a person should know who is planning to become a DevOps. So guys, that is going to be Linux. A person should be knowing Linux at least. Then after, person should be knowing network part at least. I do not say that a person should be very expert at like configuring network devices and all, but a person should be able to understand network. Okay, so someone asked that only from listed position a person can become DevOps. No, it is not required. A person who is coming from developer background, has understanding of Linux operating system and other tools, a person can become DevOps. So either a person like working from operation side can become DevOps, because these are the profiles which are well known as operation profiles. So the same way goes for those who are working as developers right now and they want to become DevOps. So they will have to learn. For example, a person who is working as Linux admin will have to learn automation tool, development tool in order to automate things. And a person who is coming from dev environment, so like development, the person already knows. So the person will have to understand network, cloud, and like Linux part in order to become DevOps. Because DevOps is such a team which cannot say no to anything. So after network, a person is supposed to know. Obviously, I will not include cloud here because it is not required or it is not mandatory to know cloud to become DevOps. If you know, that is always going to be a plus. But those organizations which are not running into cloud, even those are using DevOps methodology. So now the very first tool which is supposed to be known is Git, Git. Right, this is known as SCM, source code management tool, or you can call that VCS, version control system. So if you want, I can write it down here. That is known as SCM, source code management, or VCS. SCM like source code management, or VCS means version control system. So that is completely up to you, like how do you want to interpret it. Then after, okay, let me remove it because I have already explained. So first is going to be Git, then after it is going to be Jenkins. After so guys, what is the role of DevOps engineer? What is the expectation of expectation from like DevOps engineer during interview? Okay, what is Git? What is the particular, what do you do on Git? What are the roles and responsibility you perform as Git administrator? Or as DevOps engineer, what are your roles and responsibility related to Git? So what will you be saying? Let us say in order to provision access, to create new repositories, to do UAR, user access review, that who has what kind of access, when user was created, whether the particular user is meeting compliance requirement or not. If a user has not accessed any tool, let us say it is Git, Bitbucket, Jira, maybe Confluence, maybe any other tool which is shared across the organization, so the user's account should become inactive. So that kind of activities are performed by DevOps team in order to ensure that no inactive user is having access onto these tools. We will discuss about these roles and responsibility again in detail. Then after, when we are talking to Jenkins, so let us say how to integrate Jenkins with Git. How to ensure that if a developer is going to commit anything here, so Jenkins job should be automatically triggered. What kind of protocol we are going to use? Can we replace Jenkins with GitHub Actions? Yes, definitely we can replace, but not 100% cases. Okay. So Jenkins will be there. Then after, we are going to talk about Docker container. So guys, first of all, Docker is necessary to know. Only then after we can talk about Kubernetes. Then after, Docker is necessary. Then after, Ansible. So we will discuss about Ansible here. Then after Ansible, so guys, Git is source code management tool. Jenkins is used for deployment, for build and release process. Docker is used for containerization purpose. Ansible is used for configuration management. And the recent module of Ansible allows us to do automation as well. Like we can build an entire stack with the help of Ansible, right? Then after, we are supposed to know, being DevOps, we are supposed to know at least one web server, which is known as Apache or Nginx, like anyone. So we will discuss about Apache here within this particular session. So like, or maybe whatever will be needed, we can discuss that. Then after, we will discuss about at least one database, which is MySQL. Because a particular person who is going to work as DevOps engineer should be knowing like how to install software. Then after, if software is installed, how to configure that in high availability mode. high availability zone we are going to discuss about. Then after, if we talk about like what other tools we are going to discuss. So definitely guys, we are going to talk about Prometheus for monitoring. Prometheus plus Grafana. We will discuss about monitoring section here, like how to enable monitoring, what if there is a particular new service going to be deployed, what set of tools we can use for monitoring, what kind of parameters do we need to monitor, how to set alert for this, who decides this kind of alert threshold. That sort of thing should be known to a DevOps engineer before going for facing an interview on the DevOps profile. Then after, we will discuss about ELK. Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. These tools we are going to discuss. Yes, two more top demanding tools are there, which are supposed to be discussed here, but that will be based on demand. Like if people know the basics, then I will teach, otherwise I will skip. So these are Terraform and K8s, Kubernetes, which is known as. So these particular two tools I will be discussing only in that case if people have basic understanding of these tools. I hope I make myself clear. Because see, guys, this particular session is going to be for interview preparation. And what does that mean? So at least basic knowledge. Let us say if I'm talking about branching strategy, just for example, if I'm talking about branching strategy, so if I'm going to talk about the industry standard about Git branching strategy, so a person should be at least able to understand, okay, what are branch in Git? Let us say I'm talking about that master slave replication in Jenkins. So a person should be able to understand, okay, what is a job? What are the different kind of jobs can be created on the top of Jenkins? Let us say if I'm talking about plugins, so a person should be able to understand like how to install and remove plugins from Jenkins. When I'm talking about the best practices to be followed inside Docker container while writing Docker file. So best practices I will be telling about, but at least a person should be able to understand, okay, what are the basic parameters of Docker file, how to expose a code inside Docker file, what is base image, what is from, what is import, what is like maintainer, what are these basic parameters. Let us say when I'm talking about like best practice of Ansible. So a person should be able to understand, okay, like we have templates, we have rules, we have files, that kind of things a person should be knowing. Same thing goes with like we will talk about Apache, we will talk about MySQL, we will talk about Prometheus, we will talk about ALK. And obviously when we are talking about this, so guys, as complementary, we are obviously going to discuss about basics of cloud, because until and unless a person knows basics of cloud, so that will not be possible. Like it will be really hard for you to crack the interview. So we are going to add AWS as well, mandatorily. Not complete AWS we are going to discuss, but yes, first of all, we will discuss about Linux, major topics like it is going to be user management, disk management, file permission, or maybe like file permission kind of stuff. Server performance monitoring, they are going to discuss. Most frequently executed commands, most frequently asked questions on the top of Linux, we are going to discuss for sure. Then after, we will talk about AWS. So the very basic services and which are majorly used in any organization, like it is going to be EC2, EBS, auto scaling, load balancing, we are going to discuss, VPC, Route 53, IAM, S3. These kind of services for sure we are going to discuss, we are going to cover as part of this particular interview preparation. Then network. So we are not going to cover a lot. We are not going to cover a lot on the top of network, but yes, like what are the what is network, what is IPv4, what are different classes of IPv address for, what is public, what is private network, what are the different private like series of IP address. That kind of things for sure we are going to discuss, because no one is going to ask you beyond that during interview. Because as of today, no one is going to ask you the mode of switch, the mode of router, like what is config mode, right? And what are like edit mode, like different modes are there. So no one is going to ask about that, because we do not get a chance to work on real physical devices, but at least basic understanding we should have. Same thing with Git, we will discuss in detail, Jenkins, Docker, Ansible. So these kind of things we are going to discuss. And okay, so couple of guys are asking that please include Terraform and K8s. So guys, as committed. So if you have basic knowledge of it, so definitely I will touch base upon it. Now it is your time to ask if you have any question.
Yeah, Lokendra, do you continue with all the setup lab enabled, or only a theory part?
So this will be like 30 to 40% like lab and 60 to 60% like theory class. Reason being, because during interview, all your concepts are checked. Wherever it is required to, let us say when I'm going to talk about Jenkins, obviously I will install Jenkins. I shall be able to explain components only then when Jenkins is installed. When I'm going to talk about Git, so obviously I'll be using GitHub. When I'm going to talk about Ansible, so obviously I'll be executing a couple of playbooks, right? When I'm going to explain Apache, I will install and I will explain the options. The same thing with go with like MySQL, with Prometheus, ELK, and Grafana. So I shall not be setting up end-to-end labs, but whenever I will explain any individual components and how it can be integrated with others, I will install and then I will tell you.
Okay.
So for example, like if I have to discuss about Kubernetes, we can take example of EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Services, which is provided from the side of AWS.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is the way we can complete all these things. But Kumar, as you know, like most of things are going to be theoretical based when we are going to face interview, right?
Yeah, but some interviews are asking shell scripting to write and Jenkins pipelines to write.
So at least that part, like how to write it, so that much part I will cover. But practice you guys will have to do for sure.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So when we call it interview preparation, so like it is understood that Python or shell script, I can guide you where to study from, but I shall not be covering this particular part within this. Because see, I can tell you the particular logics, like what do they ask, but I cannot tell you the exact shell script which is required there.
Yes.
Obviously, I know the expectation of a person, like what do they ask like onto all these tools and technology. But about Python, so let us say like I'm asking some different script to write, they may ask them different. I can tell you the particular place where to study from, where to prepare from.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so now guys, one more thing I would like to discuss here, that we have discussed within this particular platform, that what are the kind of different environments here based on the particular utilization. So it can be utilized as dev environment, it can be utilized as QA or test environment, about UAT, SIT, pre-prod and production. So guys, there are some other ways as well using which we can define the set of networks. So like based on network, how do we isolate the environments? Based on network, how do we isolate environment? So the very first environment is known as DMZ. This is known as, guys, demilitarized zone. Now, what kind of services are kept here? So every individual service where we have public IP address associated, or which is going to be responsible to accept the traffic from end user directly. Let us say all your public facing firewall, all your public facing load balancer, all your public facing web servers are placed inside this particular zone, which is known as DMZ. This is known as demilitarized zone. And guys, this is the zone which is supposed to be mostly secured. The most limited open fire, like the very limited ports which are open on firewall are on this particular zone. Let us say we are not supposed to allow port 22 for all, for open world. Let us say port 80 and port 443 should be only opened onto this. We should not allow port number 25 of any server onto this particular firewall, right? So DMZ means demilitarized zone, where the particular servers like web server, public facing load balancer, firewalls are kept. This is known as demilitarized zone. This segregation is based on network. So if you want, I can define that here. based on network. Right, so it is going to be DMZ. Second one is going to prod. So guys, what is prod? So prod zone is known as second zone. This is considered to be very safe zone here. Reason being, we do not, listen to me very carefully guys, we do not allow any kind of public IP address into prod zone. You can consider if public and private both IP addresses are associated with a server, so that should be kept in DMZ zone, or that has been kept here by mistake. Prod zone should not have public IP address associated. If you have associated public IP address with any server which is in prod zone, so it means that should be considered as DMZ now. Because as per network topology, we are not supposed to have public IP address into prod zone. Now, what kind of servers are kept here? So maybe your database, application, middleware application, your multiple servers, like it could be your Nginx, it could be your Java application, it could be your Redis, your Elasticsearch, your monitoring engine. Every kind of tool can be placed here, right, guys? And third thing is known as TND, test and development. So over here we may have public and private both IP address associated with a single server, or we may not have associated both IP. We may have only private IP address with a server. But guys, keep this thing in mind. This particular TND servers are not supposed to have any kind of connectivity with these two zones. Reason being, if we enable connectivity from TND to production and DMZ zone, which means these all are able to like transfer data from one another. Let us say if your TND environment is hacked by any hacker, maybe like because of some bug, or maybe like hacker has some kind of potential threat. So in that particular case, what is going to happen, guys? This particular will be breached in that particular. So these are supposed to be isolated in that particular manner. Then after, the final stuff here which we would like to discuss is based on servers, or you can call that based on infra. So guys, there are once again going to be three kind of different stuff. First of all, it is going to be physical server. Physical server, or you can call that host. It could be physical host or physical server. Second thing, it is going to be virtual machines. Virtual servers or machines. Then after, it will be known as containers. So guys, let us not call it Docker or maybe Kubernetes. Let us call it containerized environment. So guys, I hope that we are clear with this, like how do we isolate network based on like utilization. Let me define here based on utilization. Right, guys? So I hope that if someone is going to ask, and guys, keep one more thing in mind, do not ever say that you work only on like dev, QA, UAT, SIT in pre-prod environment. You do not work on production environment. And why is that so? Okay, the question here is no public IP will be associated with prod and database servers. They will have only private IPs. Best in host comes into picture. So, okay. So over here, Grace, so just to answer your statement here, we will discuss about it in detail, but let me tell you, whenever we are planning to have a particular server, which is known as DMZ, that will be created inside DMZ zone, because either sometime we may have to log into that bastion host with the help of VPN tunnel, or if that VPN tunnel does not work, so we maybe need to log into that server with the help of public IP address, and from there we log into these servers. So yes, your bastion host, or you can call that jump server, should be created inside DMZ zone only. We will discuss about that in detail. Do not worry. Okay. So I hope that that these particular things are clear so far. Any questions, guys? Guys, any questions?
In the we have cloud servers as well.
Come again, I lost in between.
Yeah, and based on infra, we can have the cloud servers, public cloud servers.
Yes, we can have, but whenever you are going to have public cloud servers, so the same thing will be there. So either you will have to create a particular like DMZ zone there where your public servers will be allocated. You will have to create a like another zone where your private servers will be located, or your prod zone will be there, and TND will be there. So as of today, AWS allows you to have your physical host inside AWS data center. You can create your EC2 machines there if you're talking about AWS, and you can create like either EKS or like either Kubernetes for your containerization. Like the particular stuff which I have mentioned here, this is going to be universal wherever you apply this. You will have to set up dev environment in cloud environment as well, QA test, UAT, SIT, pre-prod and production. You will have to like isolate your network based on network, like based on your what do I call DMZ network and TND. And after that, you will have to isolate it based on your physical server. It is going to be virtual machine or containers. So wherever you go, you will find this kind of architecture everywhere. Kumar, I hope we are clear on this.
Yeah, clear. Thank you.
Yeah, great. So I hope guys we are good so far. Do you have any other question? Okay, there is a question. People working from different domain, how to demonstrate their work profile close to this skill set? Okay. So guys, when I will be explaining, so what do we need to do in order to gain experience? Either work for a long time in order to prove you are experienced, or just start learning from such a person who has been working for a long time. So guys, I'm not only going to teach you over here, but I'll be sharing my experience. Based on my experience, you will learn the roles and responsibility and the particular tasks which are supposed to be executed on day to day. So the timing will be 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. So as we started today at 8 a.m., same time we will start the class. And as it is 9:14, so we will end up the classes by 9:30, like after 15 minutes from now. These are going to be Monday to Friday. And if
how many days?
Yeah, Monday to Friday, these are going to be.
No, how long it will take?
It will take 1 calendar month. So you can say like within first week of March, it will be completed.
Okay.
Yes. So guys, now I'm going to stop recording of this particular session.